The desert is done. A charged wind blows our heroes west. Rising from the waves, battle worn and weary. But the fight is not over. A new challenge awaits. The ocean. A demanding trial that will test every ounce of courage, determination, commitment. Full focus, full send. The ocean takes no prisoners. The earth will shake, waves devour, as they race for more than glory. Only the mighty will stand triumphant. The next chapter of this electric odyssey will be written here, on African shores.
With round one of the inaugural Extreme E Championship complete, it was time for the worldwide adventure to move to its second race location, Africa. The fleet of all-electric Odyssey 21 cars were loaded back onto the championship's floating paddock, the St. Helena. Leaving the stunning arid landscapes of Al Ula, Saudi Arabia behind, the ship headed west for Senegal, which would play host to the Ocean X-Prix. The teams will push their cars to the limit on the Senegal shoreline against the backdrop of the Atlantic Ocean. The awe-inspiring course combines wide-open straights and tight undulating sections which twist and turn through beach, dune and woods, a brand new challenge to the car and drivers. The equally split 9 female and 9 male driver lineup will race to focus the world's attention to the threats facing our oceans and coastal areas. Across the globe, these areas face environmental issues of plastic pollution and sea level rise. Extreme E aims to increase awareness of these issues and help accelerate positive climate action.
We are in the Lac Rose, in the coastline of Africa, in Senegal, and we're having our second X-Prix, the Ocean X-Prix, the one dedicated to what's happening with our oceans, what's happening with the raise of the sea level, the plastic pollution, many different issues, overfishing and so on that our oceans, our seas are suffering. So we're here in Africa to showcase that. I was looking at the images and I was getting shocked myself. You see this amazing beach from the drones, you see a beautiful landscape. You put the camera down by the sand and you see all this plastic. It's really covered in plastic. We are in a remote location. We don't have any factories nearby. It's just coming from the ocean, coming from Europe, coming from America. So the world is connected, is one, and with our races, we want to use sport to showcase that. I think the track here in Senegal is very different to what we saw in Saudi. To start, the dust, a lot less dust, which I think is going to facilitate a lot more close racing between the cars, but also it's very technical. It has a lot of up and downs, obstacles, different lines. So I think it's going to give a great opportunity to see a very different kind of racing. I think it's going to be a fantastic race. I also love the race in Saudi, but I think this one is very different and also amazing.
With the cars, personnel and infrastructure having successfully arrived at the race site, it was nearly time to go racing. Ahead of qualifying, the teams took to the course a day earlier during shakedown to try and get to grips with the new challenge ahead.
Kind of soaking it all in. I got beach behind me, which is amazing. It's a whole new aspect. We went to Saudi and we raced on huge, massive dunes. Now this is all real small, crazy, aggressive elements. So I think what they've thrown at us to be completely opposite is very, very cool. It's not the same, just in a different spot. We're not on a closed course with barriers and catch fences and K-rails. We're in the elements. It's up to us to pick lines. So I think what they've thrown at us here in Africa is going to be insane.
I think this track is much more technical than Saudi Arabia. It's much more things to think, no? With a lot of jumps, with different ways to make the race. And for me, it's very, very nice because it's the best place possible to make a race.
The combination of unpredictable bumpy sections like the moguls, the tight wooded section, and the seemingly never-ending number of routes through the dunes presented a very different test to what the teams and drivers faced in round one.
The sand is totally different. The sand in Saudi was very, very fine, a lot of dust, whereas here, close to the beach, it's quite a thick sand. So we're actually seeing, I suppose, the braking effects and things like that is a bit more in here, but we don't have the dust that we had in Saudi.
Obviously the sand is the same sort of terrain, and also it looks from the track a lot more technical, so a lot more to think about, a lot more different lines that we can take, choices available, which I think is going to make the racing a bit more exciting too.
The track looks quite different, sandy also, that's sure, but a bit more rough, more little dunes, more technical, not as fast as there, but with more bump. Also more opportunity of different lines that we have there, so it will be a different driving style for everybody. So I'm looking forward to start the weekend and try to fight. Hopefully we'll be in the game.
With the course set, it was nearly time for the first racing action to take place on the shores of Senegal. But the reason for racing against this stunning backdrop is to make more people aware of how important it is to protect our oceans.
The ocean is vitally important for us as humans and in fact the planet as a whole. So the increase of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and the increase of temperature and climate change has multiple different consequences in the ocean. So we have sea level rise, which means our coastal areas are being flooded by salty water really rapidly, not giving the coastal areas an opportunity to adapt to that new level. We have additional storms and increased intensity of those storms, and together this means that our coastal areas are likely to be more damaged. We also have a really direct impact. Fisheries, and poorly managed fisheries, has really dramatic impacts. Each of those having their unique consequences on the life in and around the ocean. If things continue as they are, by the start of the next century in 2100, sea level will have risen over a metre. Sea level rise comes from two parts, the melting of the ice and the thermal expansion of the ocean water. So as air temperature rises, so does the ocean, and as the water warms, it expands, and this creates an additional sea level rise. With just a 3 degrees temperature rise, by 2100, the Greenland ice sheet will have melted, and that will contribute about 9 centimetres to sea level. The additional melt from glaciers will contribute about 19 centimetres, but thermal expansion will contribute an additional 40 centimetres. The additional sea level rise is going to cause massive consequences to communities across the planet. The predicted sea level rise of 65 centimetres is a global average, but in fact there are going to be some hotspots where that's going to be much larger. So we would expect flooding and even whole communities and towns to disappear. If we can keep temperature rise to about 1.5 degrees, then we can limit the sea level rise to about 1/3 of the current predictions. This is going to have a massive impact, and although it's going to be difficult, but will be managed much more effectively than if we do nothing. So now we need to listen to the ocean and communities that rely on it and be able to put our ingenuity into making sure that we can come up with solutions that work for us now, but critically for our future generations.
Extreme's goal is not only to highlight climate issues like sea level rise, but to also showcase electric cars and sustainable technologies that will revolutionise our way of living. And with the future of motorsport having landed on the beaches of Senegal, the stage was set for day one's qualifying rounds. As the teams came out to take on the 6.3-kilometre course, it quickly became clear that although the never-ending golden beaches looked inviting, the dunes behind were a dangerous threat. Andretti United's Timmy Hansen was looking quick as usual. However, as Timmy was approaching the end of his lap, disaster struck.
Hansen's got a problem. I think it's game over for Andretti United in Q1.
I think there's nothing else we can do. They will come recover you.
I'm going. Okay, get ready, I'm going. I'm going.
Timmy managed to bring his Odyssey 21 back to life. He handed over to Katie Munnings, who did her best to remedy their lap 1 woes, but a 3-minute wait on course meant they would need a miracle to make it into the semi-final. Jenson Button's JBXC team headed to Senegal without the former F1 champion. Instead, Jenson enlisted the expertise of Kevin Hansen, the younger brother of Timmy Hansen, to fill his seat. And he had a much better time during qualifying than his older sibling.
It's been really nice settling in. Everybody's very open and welcoming me well, and I know Michaela since very long. So we have a good bond and work very well together.
A strong lap for him and his teammate Michaela Arlin-Kotelinski put them in a good position to secure a semi-final spot. Abt Cupra driver Claudia Hertgen unfortunately fell ill the day before qualifying, which meant championship reserve driver Jutta Kleinschmidt stepped in to fill the now vacant seat. Having won the Dakar Rally here in 2001, she's no stranger to these shores. Matthias Ekström headed out first and had the car dialed in over the rough terrain. He handed over to Jutta, who despite lacking flat-out competition experience in the Odyssey 21, put together a brilliant lap to keep them in the running.
This is an absolutely fantastic run. Look at this full commitment over the crest. Jutta Kleinschmidt absolutely in Dakar winning mode.
I was super nervous, but I told myself this morning just enjoy it. You know, it's such a great chance to do that, especially at this place in Dakar with a very professional team and with a car, new technology, environment friendly, in a team mixed with a female and male. Everything is fantastic.
Despite the bad start to their championship campaign, Segi TV Chip Ganassi Racing was still being tipped as ones to watch, and the All-American lineup was looking to make a statement on the beach. Sarah Price set a blistering pace throughout her opening lap. Kyle LeDuc took control and showed the aggressive, flat-out racing style he's known for.
Kyle LeDuc pushing so hard now. Segi TV Chip Ganassi Racing proving they had the pace we thought they had in Saudi. Brilliant drive by Sarah Price and Kyle LeDuc.
Despite the obvious pace of the American team, it was Lewis Hamilton's X44 and the combined efforts of Sebastian Loeb and Cristina Gutierrez that put them top of the times at the end of Q1, in a fantastic display of speed and control.
What an impressive display from Gutierrez and Loeb, 10 seconds ahead of everybody else.
With the top 5 qualifiers from Q1 only being separated by 26 seconds, it was incredibly tight, and with Q2 later on that same day, the qualifying drama was far from over. Round 2 of the season has taken the Extreme E adventure to the beaches of Senegal. But a week before the teams headed to the West African coast to battle it out for the Ocean X-Prix crown, Championship founder and CEO Alejandro Agag headed to Scotland to show real-life royalty what the Odyssey 21 car can do.
We are here up in Scotland testing the Extreme E car, and today with a very, very special guest, the Duke of Cambridge, who has done the honor to come here and test and try this car with us. He is very committed to the environment. Prince William has created this prize, the Earthshot Prize, which I think will become the Nobel Prize of the environmental action. And proof of that commitment is that he's here today testing and promoting electric cars, which is what Extreme E wants to do in the most remote corners of our planet.
It's going to be such an honour to drive with royalty in the car and to show what the Extreme E car can do and what we've all been working towards.
Why is it called Extreme E rather than anything else?
No one has done electric SUVs before. Okay. We thought, let's do a championship that is going to be the opposite of Formula E. Formula E is in the city centers.
Yeah.
We're going to take this to the most extreme locations. But anyway, you'll see, the car is quite fun to drive.
Yeah, I bet it is. Snug.
Okay.
Smiling with apprehension.
Ready?
Ready.
Okay. So this is the lap that I'm supposed to do, and then you do another one like this.
Okay, cool.
Just to kind of get the feel of it. We switch.
Switch around. Hold on, Alejandro. See what happens.
Good one there. I mean, he's better than me.
No, that's true. Need a few more jumps.
It's a great honor to have someone with his commitment to the environment and also with his position and the possibility that he has to move forward the agenda that we all believe in. So it's a great day for us, for me personally, a great day for Extreme to have him testing our electric SUV.
Oh, it was an honour to drive Prince William and also to be a passenger to him and experience his driving skills. He's a natural talent behind the wheel, and it was really exciting to share that adrenaline with him. I think he was really enjoying it himself. He seemed really excited, so I think he had a really great afternoon too.
That's my kind of racing, I'm saying.
Good.
It's the best. It's like, you know, tracks to tracks, tarmac, but this is just that bit of slidiness, that bit of grit.
Super fun.
And it's so much, it's heavy. You've really got to think about what the weight distribution's like.
And
for you, George, what is it about Extreme you like so much?
I see myself as a humanitarian engineer. That's how I like to describe myself. It combines that engineering and that passion that I kind of have for solving problems and making things go faster. But also, you know, considers the environment.
There's two great things with the Extreme side and the actual racing coming together. It's really good, you know, double prong attack on it all.
Exactly.
It's going to take it by storm.
Great.
No, it's an amazing concept, guys. I love it. Really cool.
Thank you very much.
It's really, really good fun.
Taking the world by storm is exactly what the Extreme Championship plans to do, racing in some of the most remote locations across the planet. And on the sands of Senegal, it was nearly time to see who would take the top spot in qualifying for round 2. But before that, let's take a look at how the racing works. An Extreme race consists of 2 laps. The male and female driver must complete 1 lap each in any order. Each team has 2 hyperdrive power boosts they can activate on lap 1 and lap 2 of the race. The fastest team through the super sector across any section from the weekend can also claim an extra 5 championship points. Day 1 is qualifying. Session 1 sees all 9 teams do 2 laps, 1 from each of their drivers. Session 2 sees all the teams head out onto the course again. And the times set from both sessions are then combined to make up the qualifying order, and with it the first championship points of the weekend are claimed. The top 3 go to the semi-final 1, 4th, 5th and 6th go to semi-final 2, with the bottom 3 heading to the shootout to decide the last 3 finishing places of the weekend. Day 2 starts with the semi-final races, with the top 2 finishers from each race proceeding to the 4-car final to battle it out for the win. The team that crosses the line first in the final wins the X-Prix, taking with it the glory, plus 25 championship points. All 5 X-Prix count towards the overall team's title, but in the Drivers' Series, competitors can drop their worst results of the season in their bid to be crowned the first Extreme champion. As the teams headed out for qualifying round 2, the tension was rising. Only the top 6 qualifiers would make the cut for the semi-finals and remain in the fight for the Ocean X-Prix crown. It was still all to play for. Round 1 winners Rosberg X Racing were looking fast with Molly Taylor behind the wheel, but the brutal course was looking to claim another victim.
Oh, Taylor up on the nose, drags it back down, well saved.
A great save by Molly kept them in the running, and she handed over to teammate Johan Kristoffersen, who pushed the car to the limit to keep the pressure on their rivals. Kyle Leduc had set the fastest lap of anyone in the morning session for Segi TV Chip Ganassi Racing, and was looking lightning fast as he electrified the beach once again.
He's barely 3 sets of flags in. He's gone green everywhere. He's on it, Jenny. He's on it. No! Oh. No! No, the car has stopped when they were 6.3 seconds up.
Car completely off. No power to the car at all.
Check the rear 2 Marshall switches above the doors.
I think a simple section down on the back where you go underneath the trees, I think one of the branches just pulled our extinguisher bottle. So that literally kills the car dead in the spot. So I tried to do the best I could to figure out why it was off. I wish I would have gone to that first. I could have potentially had a chance to be in the main event, but just a bummer to be off the back, and me, Sainz, and Andretti are all fighting for 7th. I mean, we have no chance to get to the main event, and that's definitely a bummer for us. This whole team, the sponsors, everybody. So we did our best, it just didn't work out today.
With their closest rivals having a disaster in Q2, X44 managed to stay out of trouble and put together 2 faultless laps to secure the top spot in qualifying for the 2nd X-Prix in a row.
And they go P1, brilliant by
speed.
Massive margin.
An impressive debut in qualifying for Kevin Hansen in the JBXE car alongside Michaela Arlen-Kotelinski saw them finish 4th and go through to the semis. Abt Cupra came 3rd after a brilliant performance from last-minute replacement driver Jutta Kleinschmidt and Matthias Ekström. Rosberg X Racing came 2nd overall as they continued to show their pace, but it was qualifying experts X44 who took the top spot and the maximum 12 championship points from qualification.
The day was really good. We won the quali overall, so that's a great day. We had even quite a good gap to the next one, so we had really a good pace with Christina, and that was perfect. Good feeling with the car, everything went well, so hopefully we can continue tomorrow like this.
At each race, Extreme E is working with organisations on environmental projects to leave behind a positive legacy in each location. With a focus on the health of our oceans, Extreme E's legacy partner TO.org teamed up with local NGO Oceanium. Together they will plant 1 million mangrove trees in an effort to help reforest and sustain this incredible ecosystem. This ambitious project elicited the expertise of Sheena Talma, one of Extreme E's environmental advisors.
Now, mangroves are really interesting. They're these plants that have adapted to living in salty water, very high temperatures, and what is seemingly an inhabitable space. One of the biggest roles of mangrove is that they take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and they store it in their roots and in the ground. That means that carbon dioxide is stored there and it's not adding to the massive amounts of carbon dioxide that us ourselves as humans are creating. So if we deforest an area, especially somewhere like a mangrove, it means that we're releasing that carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. They're also really important for protecting the coastal area. If you can imagine that there's a community living behind a mangrove habitat, they live in equilibrium because the mangrove protects that community from storm surges or really big waves. So they're really important for communities that depend on mangroves.
La mangrove a une importance capitale dont beaucoup de personnes ne connaissent pas. Dans la mangrove, il y a la biodiversité, il y a les animaux, il y a tout ça dans la mangrove. La population de Joal-Fadjut, ils travaillent que dans la mangrove. Ils cherchent des huîtres, ils cherchent des jarches, c'est ça qu'ils payent les scolarités de leurs enfants. Pour moi, c'est une grande importance de reboiser la mangrove. Avec les partenaires Extreme, on a travaillé la saison dernière, on a fait 65 hectares. Donc on a fait travailler beaucoup de jeunes et le projet, c'était une très bonne chose pour la population de Joal-Fadjut.
Et quand on parle de changement climatique, je pense que, en tout cas, une partie de ces changements climatiques viennent de l'Europe ou de l'Asie. En tout cas, c'est pas l'Afrique qui a les causes de ces changements climatiques ne viennent pas de l'Afrique. Donc l'Afrique est en train de subir ces changements climatiques et essayer de voir comment faire en pensant qu'en faisant les reboisements de la mangrove à travers l'océanium, ça peut atténuer les changements climatiques. En pensant aussi qu'en conservant les herbiers marins, ça peut aussi atténuer les changements climatiques par rapport. Donc c'est bien de communiquer pour que les gens sachent que de l'autre côté, il y a des gens qui sont en train de subir par rapport aux dégâts qui se passent de l'autre côté. Mais en tout cas, c'est une très bonne chose de voir des gens qui nous appuient à travers pour faire des reboisements parce que les ressources humaines sont là, mais souvent on n'a pas assez de moyens pour prendre louer les bateaux, donner quelque chose aux gens qui reboisent. Donc avec ces coureurs, avec Extreme E, c'est bien de nous aider à faire revenir notre faune mangrove.
leaving a positive legacy in the countries and communities the series will race in by providing resource, education and economic empowerment is just as important to the all-electric Extreme E Championship as the wheel-to-wheel racing action. Next time on Electric Odyssey, 6 teams, 2 breathtaking races, with only 4 places in the final up for grabs.